Hello and welcome to Box Office Culture. I am your host, Tony Nunes, and I am back. We are back. Today we are talking about fall movies, and most notably some of the movies coming up here at the United Theater. There's a lot to talk about, and this is the first of a two-part fall movie episode. And we, like I said, we have a lot to talk about. There's big movies, there's indie movies, and today we're breaking this up to talk about the bigger releases, the more tentpole, big budget franchise releases coming out between now and the end of the year. So we're going to be talking about a number of interesting movies in a minute. Okay. Joining me today, back on the show, the one and only Cinephile Galore. That's your new nickname. Cinephile Galore, Greg Moran. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
So Greg and I are going to talk about some of these big fall releases. Fall technically starts at the end of this week. But we're going to start this conversation with what I consider the first big fall release, even though it's not technically in the season. And that's the new Beetlejuice film, Beetlejuice. Tim Burton's return to form. Michael Keaton's back. Winona Ryder's back. Catherine O'Hara is back. We both saw this movie. Most of these movies that we're going to talk about today we have not seen. But let's start there. Beetlejuice. So Beetlejuice is the perfect movie to kick off fall movie season.
I mean, or if they put it in October, it wouldn't have been out of place.
Agreed. It would have done bank in October. It's doing well.
It's doing very well.
It would do a lot.
Nationwide, it's doing well here. I mean, that's why this probably was, having it on that cusp, because this can be a weird time. Back to school, parents are spending a lot of money on that. It can be a slow time, so the fact that it's being so successful is a testament to it.
Yeah, September is notoriously one of the worst months for releases generally.
Anything. Before I was here, bars and restaurants, it's a slow month.
Yeah, but here we have Beetlejuice. So we both saw this. Mm-hmm. I saw it on Saturday night. My quick hot take on this movie, I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. The writing for this movie, though, was a little scattered and all over the place.
Absolutely.
There are four antagonists.
It's so many threads.
Like, why
and
are
they
there...
could have...
Yeah.
Like, four of the characters could have been two characters.
Yeah.
I agree 100%.
Don't get me wrong. I had a great time watching it. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I left happy. But at the end, I was like, why were there four villains, and why did none of them go anywhere?
I said the same thing. It was enjoyable, though. It's fun. It's, as far as Tim Burton's filmography goes, it's in the middle. It's better than a lot of the last ones, but it's definitely not in his top 5, top 10.
It's his best movie in
a couple of years, but it's still, it's middle of the pack.
It is middle of the pack. I'm glad to see all of those actors back. Beetlejuice felt secondary in this movie to me, though. I don't know if you felt that.
He's almost secondary in the first one, though. He doesn't show up for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Something like that. I don't know the exact time frame.
And he doesn't have much to do.
Yeah. But Keaton always makes the most of it.
Mm-hmm. This movie is definitely carried by Winona Ryder, Jenna Ortega, and Catherine O'Hara was just like...
international treasure.
Oh, my God. I just want to see more Catherine O'Hara. That's
always.
All. Just give her leading roles in more movies.
I was surprised that Jeffrey Jones's character, even though he does not appear in it, for reasons you can Google yourself.
Yes.
I'm surprised that he wasn't just written out.
No, they kind of honored him.
In a sense,
there's a claymation version of him in this movie.
It
literally looks like him.
And I mean, because of he didn't get paid for it or anything, but the fact that they even used his likeness
I was surprised
so much, I was very surprised.
Yes, he was very canceled. Yeah, like Greg said,
kind of deservedly so.
Definitely
sure.
deservedly so. But what do you think of this as the kickoff for?
I think it's a great kickoff. Hopefully we can carry this, both creatively.
Yeah.
Hopefully there's even better movies, because like I said, it's enjoyable. But am I going to be rushing out to pick this up on physical?
Yeah. I
mean, probably not.
At the end of this conversation, we should just quickly go back through this list and figure out, like, what movie do we think is going to be, like, become a classic, essentially.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Potentially.
Potentially.
So the next film, which is opening this Friday, September 20th, is Transformers 1. It's an animated film. This feels to me more like a traditional September release.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's like the Ninja Turtle movie, was it Mutant Mayhem, that came out a couple years ago. It kind of is what it is. It's a popular, well-known franchise, but this is not a live-action Shia LaBeouf Transformers film.
It's not part of the Michael Bay verse. It's a prequel.
It's a prequel. It's the prequel. I think this is the start of...
Which I'm getting kind of... Like, this story has been told. It actually shows up 2 more times on our list where it's a prequel and the, mortal enemies are started as friends. So I'm kind of over that as like a trope.
Yeah.
But this has been getting great reviews. The trailer's solid. It's got a stellar voice cast.
Yeah.
We were just talking about the director has Pixar credentials.
Yeah, the director is Josh Cooley, and I had to look him up because it's not like a familiar name.
Right.
And he wrote the script for Toy Story 4 and Inside Out. And it's funny because I heard a review or like a hot take review or something somewhere saying this movie felt like Pixar, like early Pixar, and its dialogue and punchiness.
It looks like it's taking kind of also like a page maybe out of the James Gunn superhero playbook. Being very true to what the characters are supposed to be, but also being flip about it, being able to laugh and take yourself not too seriously, which I think is important because, like we were saying, I think I saw the first Transformers movie. I'm 46. When that movie came out, it was huge for me, and I believe I saw that in the United's original incarnation.
That's amazing.
Yeah, because it came out in 84, 85, so it tracks. While I was watching the trailer, I think it's going to be important for people my age to not be so precious with our past and remember that this is now, we can enjoy it, but it's really for our kids and let them enjoy it. And if there's things that's like, it's not canon. Yeah. Like, let it go, bro.
I felt that way with Mutant.
You're a grown man.
Mutant Mayhem was that a little bit, because for me, I'm a little younger than you, but not by much. But Ninja Turtles were like...
Turtles is probably to you what He-Man and Transformers and early G.I. Joe is
Exactly.
To me.
It's like a 5-year difference, and Ninja Turtles were everything, and I went into that movie the same way. But that movie and Transformers, it's kind of a built-in fan base in some ways.
Yep.
So I don't think this movie is going to do huge numbers. I think it will do marginally well. I think the Transformers franchise is very well known, and Hasbro has done a decent job keeping it alive.
They have those, even the live action ones, they actually gross pretty big numbers.
Yeah.
And the last one was not terrible, but also like almost aggressively average. The one with the Beast Wars or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And as we know here, kids movies usually do really well. I mean, theatrically, kids movies seem to dominate box office all of the time now. That's just the way it is. So it will do pretty well. But
it's getting great reviews.
It is.
The early reviews are solid.
I imagine, though, that a week later, when our next film, The Wild Robot, when that comes out, I think that movie is going to suck all of the life out of the Transformers movie. Another animated robot film, 2 weeks in a row. But the
very different.
Yeah. The Wild Robot is DreamWorks. The Wild Robot feels more universal to me, whereas Transformers is a little more general type of, or more specific type of audience. I think Wild Robot, it's based on this book by Peter Brown called The Wild Robot. I read this book to 2 of my kids. It's one of my favorite children's books. It's a chapter book. It's really an easy, fun read.
Yeah.
The artwork by the author, Peter Brown, is incredible. I wish that they took some of that artwork and translated it a little more.
I was just going to ask how it looks comparatively.
It's different. I haven't seen the movie. We've only seen trailers so far, but I'm excited for it. But the look of the book, and which is part of why I love that book so much, doesn't seem to be translating.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like they're going into that Mutant Mayhem, Puss in Boots' Last Wish, and all of that stemmed from the Spider-Verse stuff, which I'm so happy that Spider-Verse happened. And I remember Seth Rogen talking about that before making Mutant Mayhem, that's like, if that didn't happen, we never would have gotten it to look the way we wanted to. And it's great that people are understanding that you can have animated stories that don't look like Pixar or traditional Disney. The thing I'm getting worried about, though, is now they're using that as just another paradigm.
Yeah, they are.
But it's going to be sad, isn't it?
I
don't have kids. I've never read the book. I've only seen the trailer.
This could be this generation's Iron Giant, which Iron Giant is like one of the greatest animated films ever made.
Right. It flopped when it came out, though.
It flopped horribly and became a classic. It's not Iron Giant sad.
Okay.
But I haven't seen it. I don't know what they're going to do with it, where they're going to take it.
Yeah, it looks like they're definitely... There's going to be some heartstrings pulled.
It has like a real nature angle to it, which is really interesting. Mm-hmm. But the early reviews on this are really...
Oh, yeah. Really saying,
great.
Best of the year, as far as animated goes anyways.
I'm excited for it. I'm excited to take my kids to see it. I think it's going to be a good story. And I think it's going to do really well box office-wise, because I think there's, outside of Transformers, there's nothing else again until November, which we'll talk about in a bit. All right, now let's jump to a movie that we're getting all of these movies. Beetlejuice is currently playing here at the United. Transformers is starting Friday. Wild Robot next Friday. The next film we're not getting. We only have 3 cinemas here. We can only get what we can get, and we have to pick and choose sometimes. But there's a few movies on the list here that I definitely wanted to still talk about. This is a big one. This is Megalopolis, Francis Ford Coppola's long-awaited
passion project.
Self-funded. Yeah.
I don't know. 100%?
But it's not his first self-funded passion project.
I think most expensive, though.
Definitely his most expensive. So I just want to, before we talk about this, there was a trailer a few weeks ago that came out, and if you follow this kind of thing, you know about this. This trailer was generated by AI. Basically, it was written by AI, and nobody.
I don't know if they admitted that, but it's pretty clear.
Yeah, and nobody vetted it properly, so it had all of these pull quotes from terrible reviews from Francis Ford Coppola's films that are considered like classics all-timers, like Apocalypse Now, Godfather, Bram Stoker's Dracula, which
I agreed with all.
Yeah, that movie's not the Apocalypse Now level, but
no.
It turned out to be fake. But I think that they're definitely trying to hype this movie up as like Francis Ford Coppola is a legend, and this movie didn't even have.
You won't like it now, but you will 10 years from now.
It'll grow on you like a fine wine, like a Coppola wine,
from the vineyards. And the funny thing is about the trailer, the basic premise, the conceit of the trailer, I agree with 100%, and I think they should have gone with it.
Yeah,
just do the research. You could have found pull quotes that echoed all that.
Exactly.
Not had allegedly AI do it.
Yeah.
And attribute it to real people that could be like, no, I didn't say that.
The cause and effect there is like people are going to take your movie less serious,
right?
Because you're playing games.
But you could have done it easily. Though. Yeah, there are negative reviews of Godfather out there, or that especially at the time.
Totally, and Apocalypse Now.
Now was a mess.
Yeah,
Bram Stoker's still kind of a mess.
People, so I mean, Coppola, those movies, The Conversation, like he has these movies that are incredible. They are like the pinnacle of filmmaking. But if you look at Francis Ford Coppola's full direct, all the films that he's directed in his filmography, there's a lot of misses.
Oh, sure. But for me, his best ones are the ones that aren't huge, sweeping. Like my favorite Coppola movie is probably Rumblefish.
Okay.
And that was shot for like black and white. Yeah. How much money? I don't know. Not a lot.
I mean, how much money do you think Megalopolis cost?
I think, isn't it 100 something?
Yeah, I'm sure the numbers.
And I don't know if he did self-finance it 100%. But, I mean, it's got to be up there.
I'm dying to see how this movie does. I think it's going to be a flop. But so was Apocalypse Now.
Right, I think it could vary. But, I mean, looking at this list, for cinephiles, I think it's an absolute must-watch. You have to judge for yourself.
Yeah, there's only like 4 movies on this list, maybe 5, that cinephiles will be super interested in. And this is definitely like the top because it has that, it's Francis Ford Coppola. We have another one that we're going to talk about towards the end. That's another legendary director that I would argue has way more hits and
his
better
his
films.
percentage is better. For
Definitely
sure.
a better percentage. Yeah, I mean, like I said, we're not getting it, but I will definitely be finding this movie and seeking it out in the next couple of weeks when it comes out because I'm curious and it looks incredibly interesting.
Well, that's when we had a similar podcast, over a little over a year ago. And what did I say about Barbie? I was like, I don't know if it's going to be good, but I know I got to see it.
Yeah.
And that worked out.
And Barbie was good.
Barbie was great. Yeah.
Who knows? This could be.
This is one, all the reviews, even the negative and the positive both say it's kind of a mess.
Yeah. But
And
those are
it's
written by
gonna be-
AI.
It's going to be a mess.
Yeah.
It's Coppola.
It-
Most of his movies are messy.
And his cast is a mess too in this movie. He picked a very interesting cast. Great actors. They're like really good actors, but a lot of problematic people as well.
Yeah, and I don't want to get too into that, but the fact that he had to make an announcement that I cast them because of that.
Yeah.
You didn't have to say that.
No, you didn't
You
have to
could
say
just
that.
say I cast Shia LaBeouf because he's a good actor. I cast John Voight because he's a good actor.
This feels
People can be-
it feels like a little bit of a movie where they were like, let's lean into all the controversy we can. Like,
Yeah.
well,
Well, it's I don't think they know how to market it
yeah,
because it's an odd looking film. And so they're going with weird, controversial, AI driven, allegedly stuff. And because it's hard to.
I can't wait to see it. I mean,
I know we're not getting it. It's my number one, anticipated.
Yeah,
It could be terrible.
It could be.
But I gotta see it for myself.
yeah, in theaters, potentially in IMAX.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right, the next one. So here's a movie that has a lot of hype, and early reviews are pretty terrible. And it's the new Joker movie. It's the sequel to the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie that Todd Phillips made a few years ago, which was a good movie. People love it. I enjoyed it. It didn't do for me what some people.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Joaquin was great in it. It's well made. I kind of hated the whole. For me, the ending was like, mental health. What are you gonna do?
Mental health.
They kill people.
Yeah,
And it was kind of flippant.
This seems
this
to be
is something
more
that needs to be
of that.
Well, yeah, and it's also
It's kind of a musical. It
Kind
has
of a
Lady
musical.
Gaga. The early reviews say, a lot of them say, this was a waste of Lady Gaga's. You have Lady Gaga. Use her.
Right.
She's a great actress. She's a great singer.
wonderful singer. I heard she actually had problems. She had to go have a coach teach her how to not sing well.
Oh my God.
And what I'm guessing is from the trailers, it looks like a lot of this is in their heads.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming when they're in their heads, they're decked out, they're beautiful. She has her normal, amazing voice. And when they're not,
She's super pitchy.
yeah, that's the actual Harleen is probably not a great singer.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm guessing. I could be totally wrong, but from what I've heard, that's what I'm leaning toward. It's kind of like that scene. If anybody has ever watched It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, they end a season on this ridiculous dance number, but it turns out they're just slobbering all over because they're hammered.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be something like that. This movie, I mean, yeah, obviously I'm going to go see it.
Yeah, me
But-
too. I mean, it comes out October 4th. It's it will do really well. You know, it's going to do really well. People love the first one, and
First
Joker
one was a R-rated record holder until Deadpool Wolverine.
I mean, Joker has a following, but Harley Quinn has I would argue, a bigger following these days than the Joker character does. And Lady Gaga playing Harley Quinn, I think she's going by the name Lee in this one. Yeah, but it definitely looks like it's playing into the mental health thing.
It has and it looks like her character. So in the comics, her character is his therapist and gets kind of sucked in by his natural charisma. This one, it looks like she's a fellow inmate. But how would that work?
She's in Arkham, and that's where they meet.
But not as a therapist, as another patient.
Another patient. Yeah.
I mean, these are all questions we're speculating wildly here.
We've watched trailers and read some reviews.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah, like I said, of course I'm gonna go see it, but we'll see. Especially the first one was definitely a king of comedy.
It was such
sequel,
a king of
and
comedy
I don't think it
sequel.
had anything to do with Batman. I think
It's a good standalone movie. I don't think it
It
needed
is.
a sequel.
If you take all of that stuff out of that movie, everything related to Batman, that movie does not change at all.
If you're going to put money into making any Batman-related content, like just push Matt Reeves to do his Batman sequel. Let's get that out there.
Well, and that's why I've got questions about this one, because it's not that I have questions about Todd Phillips or Lady Gaga or Joaquin Phoenix's ability, and I don't think they're mailing it in, but this feels like, oh, we made $1 billion with an R-rated movie. We have to follow it up.
Yeah.
But is the heart going to be there? Is the real story going to be there?
We'll
or
see.
Is it, let's grab Harley Quinn? Because like you said, she has more... I think overall Joker is still a bigger name, especially in comics, but she's got more four-quadrant appeal at this point. I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
I mean, if not, we have the Penguin. That show is getting incredible reviews.
Yeah.
So
looking forward to that one.
So at least we have that. All right. So that movie comes out October 4th. The next movie I think we're going to get here, it's not, we haven't locked it in fully yet, but I want to get it because I really want to see this film, and that's Saturday Night. It's Jason Reitman's new movie. I really like Jason Reitman.
Yeah.
I liked what he did with, the new Ghostbusters films, but his earlier films, like Thank You for Smoking, Juno, Up in the Air, those are really great films. And this Saturday Night, if you don't know, is it's about the first airing of the first episode of Saturday Night Live, and it takes place kind of in real time, it seems, as they're getting ready to go live on air with the first ever episode of Saturday Night Live. And it's all the chaos and all of the characters behind the scenes. It's kind of a bold take on doing a Saturday Night Live movie. Mm-hmm. When I heard about it at first, I was like, how are they going to pull this off? These are all well-known actors that other actors are playing. I think that the trailer made me really want to see this movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, speaking of that, like the hair and makeup, whoever did Belushi.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what's his name? Matt Wood.
Yeah.
Looks just like him.
The dude who plays Chevy Chase, too.
Which is
really
the
looks
Riddler
like,
from Gotham.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Really looks like
Corey
Chevy
Taylor's,
Chase.
Or no. Was that the Penguin? I don't know. It's the Riddler from the Gotham TV show. But yeah, he looks like he really captures his ego.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to. I'm a big Saturday Night Live fan. I still watch it to this day. Mm-hmm. It's not the institution that it used to be.
No,
but I think that's
it's
because
a
it
revolutionary
thing. I mean,
though.
but back then, this changed a lot of things.
Yeah, it looks like a tense, like thriller sort of. Like there's funny bits, of course, but it feels like it's like a bit of a behind the scenes entertainment thriller.
Right, absolutely. Set. Yeah. And having that stakes of, do they even get on the air?
Yeah. Frenetically paced.
The dude who plays Henson, they did a good job with him too.
Yeah.
I think he plays like multiple roles in it too. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I love that they're talking about the actors hanging Big Bird from the rafters. Mm-hmm. It's just going to be a fun movie.
And I believe it was, Reitman obviously with his father too has a lot of connections. I believe this was very heavily researched. Obviously it's a movie. There's going to be some sensationalized parts, but I think there's a lot of this, like, this all kind of sort of happened.
Of course. He has a direct line to Aykroyd and all of these guys and that whole network. Mm-hmm. That movie, like I said, it's coming out in October. I'm not sure when we're getting it here at the United Theater, but we will. I'm trying to, at least, because I think it
maybe even if we can't get it initially, maybe down the road as a second run for a week. Yeah.
Yep, something. The next movie is the first November movie, and this movie is called Here. I hadn't heard a lot about this movie until the initial trailer dropped. I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah.
Which is surprising.
Which is crazy because of the cast and the director. And,
This movie stars Tom Hanks and Robin Wright, and it's directed by Robert Zemeckis. I watched the trailer. It was fascinating because basically this movie takes place in one frame. You're looking at the same angle of the same place for the entire movie, but it goes back through time. So like you're seeing dinosaurs in that time, and you're seeing that the house that this essentially takes place in being built. It's about this family at its core. It appears to be, at least, growing up in this house and all of the milestones of this family in this main living room. But the use of time, I mean, it's called Here, and it's literally, it's Zemeckis Zemeckis is doing the thing that he does really well. which sometimes works out really well for him. Sometimes it doesn't. I mean, Roger Rabbit was groundbreaking on every count. That movie he did with Joseph Gordon-Levitt about the tightrope walkers who walked across the two towers. Doing that movie after 9/11, you had to do it really carefully and cautiously, and he did it in a way that just like really immersed you. And he likes to use technology, even Polar Express.
I was just gonna say, when he's not in the uncanny valley,
there's definitely an uncanny valley. So Robert Zemeckis is like, he's one of those directors that likes to play around in the world, doesn't always succeed. This looks, I mean, Tom Hanks and Robin Wright are amazing together. I'm excited for that alone. I'm cautiously optimistic about this movie. It could be one of those things that it's like a gimmick and it just doesn't end up working. But the trailer was amazing.
Yeah, no, I definitely give them credit for what they're trying to do. I love pushing those boundaries and trying to do like My Dinner with Andre type stuff. Like, oh no, we're gonna tell an incredible story and have you at the edge of your seat, and we're never even gonna move from this couch. I think there's taking on that challenge as a screenwriter, as a director, as a performer is awesome.
It's interesting.
So I'm very interested to see it. I mean, overall, it's kind of in the middle of the pack for me, as far as this list goes.
Yeah.
But in the hands of Tom Hanks and Robert Zemeckis, and I mean, we're not even getting into. There's a lot of great supporting. Players.
There's tons of people in this movie.
So yeah, definitely going to be worth a watch.
I'm glad it's coming in November too, just in time for T. Hanksgiving. Seriously.
Well, no, and not that we're at that part yet, but maybe this becomes a Thanksgiving classic.
It might, yeah. Like it's all about family and
there's not a ton of Thanksgiving movies.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Pieces of April. That's about it. All right, so now we're going to jump into the three big Thanksgiving movies. So, Thanksgiving is a great time for big holiday releases because you have kids off of school and the studios want to capitalize on that. There's three big movies coming out
within 4 days.
Within 4 days. We can only pick two of these because we're a three cinema venture. We can only pick two, so one of these has
because of the live stuff. We'll do. I could talk about this for an hour. Maybe we'll do maybe I'll do a special episode of The Load-In explaining exactly what he just talked about.
Like why aren't you getting this movie?
I get that question all the time from a lot of people, a lot of emails, a lot of people. How come you didn't get this one?
Yeah.
Well, there's a reason. I just can't get into it right now.
We're a very unique place here. In the way we schedule movies is a result of that. And so the three movies here, I'm just going to name all three of them. We have Wicked coming out the 22nd of November. We have Gladiator 2 coming out the 22nd of November. And we have Moana 2 coming out the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Gladiator 2 is the one we had to cut, unfortunately. Personally, I am extremely excited for Gladiator 2. Gladiator is maybe my favorite Ridley Scott movie, which is saying something because really, Alien.
He's got a lot of...
there's so many movies Ridley Scott has done. And he's the other director that when we were talking about Coppola that I mentioned, that's like incredibly prolific, lots of hits. But this is a prequel, a Gladiator prequel. Ridley Scott is directing. Russell Crowe is not in this.
Nope.
I don't
famously at this point.
Yeah. Paul Mescal, I think, is playing the same character that Russell Crowe played, right? We don't know.
I don't think so.
No, it's a different Gladiator.
I don't think
it's a different
Maximus is in this at all.
I wasn't sure. And then you have Pedro Pascal. You have Denzel Washington. There's one trailer out. I don't know a lot about the movie, but it looks good.
I'm going to be honest, I haven't watched a ton because typically when I know I want to watch a movie, I try to not watch the trailers unless I have to for something like this because I don't need to see anymore. That almost ruined Deadpool Wolverine for me.
Everything.
Yeah.
This movie, I mean, it looks good. Like I said, we're not going to get it here, but I will probably be there on night one somewhere else, cheating on the United Theater to see it. Wicked comes out that day as well. Wicked is the musical. It's part one of two. Part two comes out next November, so this is going to be a really big film. But this, I mean, Wicked is one of the biggest musicals ever on Broadway. It's the prequel to The Wizard of Oz, essentially.
Another one where it's like, oh, they used to be friends. What happened?
It is. I think this movie will do really well because Wicked is like a timeless, like really, really popular Broadway show. I think a lot of people know it. A lot of people are familiar. And even if they're not, the Wizard of Oz angle will be alluring to people.
Yeah, it's another one where they're not promoting it as a musical, but it's like, well, this is clearly a musical, which is a weird Hollywood thing right now.
It is
honestly.
So
I'm not super familiar with it. I've never seen the Broadway show. Like I get the idea
Broadway
behind
guy.
it. Not a big Broadway guy. I have respect for it.
Yeah,
just not something I get into myself.
I saw it on Broadway with the original cast. It was Kristen Chenoweth and Idina Menzel, or however John Travolta pronounced her name.
The wickedly talented Adele Dazeem.
That's right. And it's a really
it looks pretty good.
And the music is actually pretty decent for what it is. But if you don't like Broadway musical types of things, this is definitely not for you. It's definitely, it's
I'll check
big
it out.
musical numbers.
For sure.
I think it'll do really well. But I think, and maybe I'm wrong, I think Moana 2, which is the sequel to the Disney animation film Moana, which was wildly popular and great. I think Moana is one of the better Disney animation films to come out of the past 20 years. They finally did a sequel. I think that movie's going to kill everything for the entire fall season.
That's the thing is, like, how big is the overlap between Moana 2 and Wicked?
There's an age thing,
But is there? Because
little kids are not going to Wicked, though.
I think they might. Or I think they might be brought to it.
They might, yeah.
Just like, I think that's why Mario Brothers did so well.
Parents bringing their kids for nostalgia.
I was thinking the same thing was going to happen with Beetlejuice, too.
Yeah. I think Moana 2, though.
But they're not as clear, like, when Barbenheimer happened.
Yep.
Those are two very, very different movies, and that was a zeitgeist thing.
Yeah.
There was a joke about it because originally these were supposed to release on the same day, so they were calling it Moaned. But the thing is, there is a way bigger overlap in people who would want to see both of these movies.
Yeah, there is. I mean, my kids want to see both.
Yeah.
But they grew up with Moana when they were younger. And then, now they want to see it but they're older. Yeah. But I do think that Moana has more people bringing younger kids that maybe won't bring that. I think Moana will end up, and I think
it'll win the weekend.
I think it'll win the whole fall because like Inside Out won the whole summer. Right. I think people really want quality kids movies, and Inside Out 2, saved summer. This was looking like a really bleak, abysmal summer for us, and we were like, "Oh God, let's not bank too heavily on movies because post-strike, it's kind of a mixed bag." And Inside Out too,
because there was good movies in the spring that nobody came out to see.
Really good movies.
Fall Guy,
Furiosa,
Fall Guy. Both of those, May was tough. Not gonna lie,
sad, and it was like doom and gloom.
And both of those were good movies.
Yeah.
Like Fall Guy was exactly what it was supposed to be.
So fun.
Probably maybe should have been released in June. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't get paid to make those decisions.
I mean, that was doom and gloom though. We were like, oh God,
absolutely.
Summer's going to be terrible. No one's coming to the movies. And then it happened. So I'm hoping fall looks the same, at least when we approach the Thanksgiving time.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the last couple of movies on here. So now we're jumping to the Christmas break again. This is where a lot of movies generally get released because people are on vacations or they're off of work or off of school. I don't know a lot about this movie. There's a Mufasa movie, which is like a prequel live action, quote unquote live action.
It's got this amazing story about how they used to be friends and became enemies.
Whoa, groundbreaking.
It's crazy.
And it's live action. It's like another animated. I did not like the live action Lion King. So I'm not super excited about this one. I think it will do marginally well. Comes out around Christmas. It'll draw for families. I don't know. That's about all I have to say on it, really.
Yeah, I watched the trailer because I knew we would be talking about it. It doesn't look like terrible.
No, it hits the
Like
same notes. They hit the songs.
Like they do a good job with the CGI being, quote unquote live action.
Yeah.
But it's, like I said, this is a story that we've seen.
Nobody asked
We've
for
already
this.
talked about twice.
Yeah.
And
Nobody was like, when are we going to get that prequel movie about Mufasa?
right. But definitely come see it when it's playing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's going to be great.
So you can tell us how wrong we are.
Around Christmas time, though, we like to also, you have like something for the kids and families, but you also want something for the adults. I think the big one here that we're going to get is A Complete Unknown. This is James Mangold's new film starring Timothée Chalamet as Bob Dylan. There's only like a little teaser trailer out for this right now. I think just the allure of Timothée Chalamet playing Dylan and all of these other great actors playing these like folk legends, there's something interesting about it.
Yeah, because you've got Ed Norton as Pete Seeger.
Yep.
And then who's playing Guthrie?
I don't even know.
I forgot. I didn't take enough notes.
Well, Mangold did Walk the Line, which is...
Walk the Line. He also did... did he do Ray, too? Or he was a producer?
I'm not sure about Ray.
There was another...
But those
those
are two really good biopics.
He's got a way with biopics where they're not just... it's not like that Amy Winehouse.
I was just going to say. I was just going to bring that one up.
So, no, I've got... Obviously, the soundtrack's going to be incredible.
It's going to be great. And Chalamet as Bob Dylan, it just... It has everything that I think it'll be successful. I think people will come out for that one.
I'm just wondering if he's going to be doing his own singing, because we know he can sing a little from Wonka, but it also wasn't like he wasn't
Dylan.
Powering that movie, and it's a very different style.
It's a totally different style. I bet he does. Did Joaquin do his own singing for Cash? Yeah, I bet you Chalamet singing. We'll find out soon.
We'll find out.
The other big movie...
Oh, Ford versus Ferrari was the other
Ford versus Ferrari
biopic type thing. So Mangold knows how to make a biopic and not have it be
boring,
salacious, or boring, or
Yeah, I have faith in this one. I'm excited for this one. The other movie coming out Christmas Day, which we probably won't end up getting, at least initially, is Nosferatu. It's David Eggers' version of Nosferatu. Which, I mean, just sounds amazing, especially if you like
Keeps
film.
Willem Dafoe in it.
Exactly. David Eggers knows how to do really creepy, really well-made, beautiful to look at film.
See, I love Eggers. I'm looking forward to this one even more than Complete Unknown.
Yeah.
For different reasons. But, yeah, I'm super interested in this one. Hopefully we'll get it at some point down the line, maybe.
I hope so. There's a ton of other movies that we didn't talk about. Most of them are like smaller releases. This is award season, so at the end of the year, you start entering award season when all of these really great films, these really interesting films that people are talking about or have hit the festival circuit and had been talked about are releasing. We're going to talk about all of those movies on the next episode, so we're going to do a part 2 of this. But I think that's it for today. I think we covered all of the major, bigger tentpole quote-unquote blockbuster type releases coming out this fall. What movie out of all of these, I know I said Moana 2, I think is going to be the big winner here financially. What do you think?
I agree with you on that one, unless... I mean, we'll see if the theater kids show up for Wicked. If Gladiator 2 is that good, maybe.
Yeah.
I think financially it's looking like those. I don't, as much as I would love for Megalopolis to turn into this amazing movie, it's not gonna happen.
No, but that's the movie you're looking forward to most.
It's the one I'm most anticipating seeing.
Okay.
But saying it could be bad. But then what you were talking about before, but are there any classics, ones that will stand the test of time? I think we've got 2 possibilities, and that's going to be the Zemeckis one if he pulls it off. Which is here.
Yeah.
And then Wild Robot.
Yeah. How weird is it that the movie you're most looking forward to, Megalopolis, and the movie I'm most looking forward to, which is Gladiator 2, are 2 movies that we're not showing here. I don't know what that says.
Honestly, I'm not that surprised.
No. I mean, yeah, I guess.
Just wait until we get to the movies on the next one.
Exactly. Which we're showing all of the movies on the next one.
Are we?
We are getting all of them. Yeah. So no spoilers.
At some point.
At some point. Yeah, it's going to be like a down the line. We'll explain a little bit about how we program movies here in the next episode too, because it's a little inside baseball. All right, but until then, Greg, thank you for joining me. Greg's going to be back with us next week. Thank you for listening to Box Office Culture. Glad to be back. And if you haven't seen Beetlejuice, go see it this weekend. Go see Transformers. Lots of great movies to see. Best place to see them, here at the United Theater. Talk soon.
Thanks for tuning in to the United Theater Podcast Network. If you enjoyed this episode, we encourage you to subscribe to our show so you never miss an episode. And if you could take a moment to leave a review, we'd greatly appreciate it. Your feedback helps us create content that you love. So hit that subscribe button and leave us a review, and we'll see you on the next episode.